You're listening to KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine.
The opinions and views expressed in this program do not reflect those of KUCI, its management, or the UC Board of Regents. To find out more about this talk show or other talk shows broadcasting on KUCI, log on to our website at kuci.org or check out the latest program guide.
This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at the Odyssey Theater for their presentation of Steam Bath.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Paul Rodriguez.
First of all, I've always been a fan of yours. For decades, I've been a fan of yours. I think you're fantastic.
I've been around for decades, as a matter of fact. So, I didn't start theater till real late, 2 years ago. But I've been hooked on it now, and I want to plan to do more of it.
You have so much stuff you could be doing, so much work you could be doing. Why do you want to do this play?
It's the only thing left for me to do. I've done movies, I've done television, I've done radio, I've done albums, I've done everything. The only thing left for me, my dream would be to eventually one day play Broadway on anything, That's the only thing left. I've been in Radio City as a stand-up, and I've done all of those things. Really, the only thing left for me in my lifetime, I'm about to be 64, the dream would be to be on Broadway. I'm willing to audition for anything to go on there.
Great. So, as for this piece, which character did you play?
I play God, I remember seeing this. Norman Lear sent me to New York to go see Hector Elizondo. He did a series called A.K. Pablo many, many years ago. And I went to see Hector Elizondo play this role that I'm playing right now on Broadway. And he was, he still is a treasure. He's one of the most respected actors, both in English and Spanish. But I know Hector, and I hope he could come and see it. But he did such a daunting job that I remember his work, and I said to myself, well, let me give it a go, see if I can bring any kind of, laughs to it. Really is all I want to do. And today was today, and tomorrow I'll try to do better.
Actually, I thought you were fantastic. But actually, your take on God is a little different. You weren't like the old guy with the beard. You weren't this mean guy with lightning bolts. You also wasn't this loving father with, I just so cute little teddy bears. You know what I mean? A little different.
I want the God that I'm playing to be human. The Bible says, or whatever you believe in, says that we were created in His image. Well, He was created in our image, and God must have back pains. God must have a day where He's off, where He created the armadillo. He was in the top of His form. I want to humanize Him a little more. He doesn't like everything. He didn't politically correct about the gay guys. He didn't say that He hated them or He didn't disapprove of them. He said, yeah, I created them. So I would say it's an understanding, tolerant God. And boy, do we need that nowadays. In the situation that we're in. Theater has always been a medium to change views, to shock them, And I remember I studied under Luis Valdez in Teatro Campesino up north, and he said that theater is a revolution. It's a revolution of ideas, It's a way of looking at the world that's perhaps not politically correct, but it is the right that we have to express ourselves. So I did take some liberties, but that's the beauty of theater. Tomorrow I'll try to do it better or different. I don't know, but I'll be here.
Well, first of all, I love the way you did, because also this is from the 70s. And again, the 70s was kind of a rambunctious era where they were talking about, just starting to talk about nudity, started talking about homosexuality. But again, you guys brought it down to earth where a modern day audience can really appreciate this.
It is. The play does take place in the late 70s, early 60s, and it's a little bit of a bigoted, misogynist, racist. If you read the original play, he refers to blacks as spades. You could never do that today. It wouldn't come out of my mouth. So I said the black guy, But would I like to see an actor do my role and say the N-word? No. I mean, it should be like the writer wrote it. But then again, it should also be, it's not our job to piss off an audience. We're here to shock them, entertain them, and let them make the decision. But I like it because you have the opportunity to walk that line, and I hope they let me walk this line a couple of more times till December 15th,
So the big question I have when I left this play is, was the story, the subject actually, are you ready to die, or was it, have you ever lived?
Well, I think if you're contemplating death, you're not really living, there's a time and a place for everything, and right now, I've had a good life, and I want to continue to have it, but am I prepared to be my maker? I think so. I am. I think they say that if you're living a good life, life is short no matter how old you are, and if you're living a lousy life, life is too long, no matter how long you live. So it's all in perspectives, you know. This play is more about the current life than the afterlife, you know. It's nice to think of an afterlife. Who knows? Is there one? Isn't there one? Some days I wish there was. I'd like to see my mom. Some days I believe there isn't, you know. How could the Supreme Being allow the horrible things that go on in this world? But it is every individual's right to make that decision, you know. One way or the other, we'll soon find out, won't we?
Well, I love your performance. I thought it was fantastic. I love the performance tonight. Thank you very much for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with...
How are you, Jeff LeBeau? It's a really happy night. We had our opening night tonight of Steam Bath, an existential, wacky, crazy comedy written by Bruce J. Friedman, former gag writer for Playboy and short story writer. And, the play is almost 50 years old, but it still holds up. And Ron Salsi, our director, has turned it into something really, I think, quite beautiful and hilarious. And then, of course, we're lucky enough to have Paul Rodriguez playing the PR attendant, God. And he is absolutely hilarious, and he adds a bit of his own humor to it and brings some of his writing to it, which the playwright was perfectly okay with. And I enjoy the journey. I play Tandy, the young gentleman in the steam bath who is trying to figure out how he got there in this purgatory and how to get out, and spends the play trying to get out. And in the end, I believe he's the character that goes through most of an evolution. And he starts to realize, come face to face with all the bullshit in his life. And by the end, he's getting to a place of true connection to God. And I don't want to give away too much, but it's a hilarious ride with a lot of great characters.
I really enjoyed it. Obviously, all art is a reflection of the times. This was written in the 70s, and in the 70s, I think we're going through a bit of a malaise.
Yes.
And I think the question is basically, is it a play about, are you ready to die, or is it a play about, have you ever lived?
That's I'm getting chills because they asked, actually, I was interviewed for the Jewish Journal, and they asked me, what are you, and I said, it's about live. That's what this play is about. And so I totally agree with you. Have you ever lived? Look at what you're right now. Look at Tandy. I don't want to say Tandy's last line because I don't want to give it away. But let's just say that he's talking about the things he's got to do, but maybe that's bringing us all closer, those who see it, what we go through too. How are we really going to live? And that's great. And I think it also, you said a reflection of the times, I think it also allows us to look at how far we've come, as far as we think we're no further with racism and gender equality and misogyny or whatever, but we've come a long way. And now I think the extremists are just as extreme as they ever were, and they really stand out today. But I think as a whole, we've come a long way. Yeah.
I really enjoyed the performance. I really loved your performance. You were just fantastic.
Thank you very much. That pleases me so much. I live to do this, so I live to do this. There you go. That's why I live.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Shelby Berry. I am a recent graduate of UCLA, and I just did my opening night of Steam Bath, and it was great, and it was so much fun.
Great. And which character did you play?
I played Meredith. Meredith has a really big heart, and she's very empathetic, and she puts others before herself, and she just has the biggest heart.
If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
They should expect to see a lot of politically incorrect jokes, but a lot of relevant topics and things that we need to be talking about right now.
I'm actually amazed by that because this play was actually written in the 70s. Mm-hmm. And again, great theater is actually a reflection of its times. Mm-hmm. You look at the time, we were kind of going through a malaise and all that. And I kind of understand, the topic that it was talking about, because again, it started talking about homosexuality, started talking about nudity. Showed nudity. So that's revolutionary for its time.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think we're still dealing with those same topics, so it's still just relevant, and, I think it shows how far we've come and how far we still have to go, basically.
So basically, the question that I left with is, was this about, are you ready to die, or is it about, have you lived yet?
I think it's both. I think it's time during the play that every character gets to reflect on how they lived, and I think it teaches the audience to live every day like it's your last, and and then people get to tell their story at the end, so then they feel like it's their time to move on.
Very meaty subject, obviously no real answers, so when you go in, all you have to do is just enjoy the quirkiness, kind of fantastic acting too.
Yes.
Because again, just trying to encapsulate a topic like this about God, about purgatory, about this topic is very difficult, and you actors did a fantastic job.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming.
Well, thank you once again for being on the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashley Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irma, and I'm here with.
Hi, my name is DJ Kemp. I just got finished with our opening night of Steam Bath here at the Odyssey Theater in Culver City. It went amazing. It's a good night. It's been a good night.
And which character did you play?
My character doesn't have an official name, but the character title is Young Man Number 1. He's a part of a sort of a duo in the play of two young homosexual men who are in this world of fantasy, magic, and death and love. It's fun. I think my character. So we're in purgatory is the plot of the show, and my character is there due to unrequited love. So I think my character represents the inability some people have to get through heartbreak. We definitely came up with backstories. So me and my partner in the show came up with names. We came up with where our characters are from, how they got to where they are now. Both of our characters we decided were Broadway. One was a fashion designer, and another one was an actor/dancer on Broadway. And so we kind of had this connection between our characters and our backstories through that. Yeah.
If my viewers decide to come out and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
Well, they should expect the unexpected. It's a play that isn't very well known. I didn't know about it when I did it. It definitely pushes some boundaries, and it's not PC at all. So get ready to be offended, but at the same time have some fun.
I really enjoyed the piece. Basically, it's very hard for characters to come up with play this play because it's kind of very unconventional. It's kind of very very surreal.
Sure.
It's not like you're just playing a boring character. You're putting life, you're putting spirit into something. That's just very hard to understand.
Yeah. I think that was challenging, and it was also rewarding because me and the rest of the cast, we didn't have to stick to the confines of reality. We could play with the surrealist aspect, and that allows you to have a little more fun, be a little more out there, extra with your expression of the art. So it was fun, man. It was a lot of fun.
Well, I really enjoyed the performance. I really loved your performance too.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Ashley Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. I'm here with.
My name is Yusuf. I'm playing Gottlieb. Since I'm Turkish, we're putting some Turkish twists on it. I'm playing it as a Turkish guy who is owning a restaurant, but he's working for God, and he has this fatherly relationship with God. It's like love and hate. When I get his approval, I'm so happy. When I don't, I get kind of furious. And Gottlieb, even though he wants to go back to real life, he enjoys life there because it's probably the best job because he gets to stay. He doesn't go through that door, and that's how I play Gottlieb. Yeah.
I thought of you as kind of like a lackey,
Yeah, that's there, and I'm just enjoying myself, and I hope it's being read by the audience as well. I'm just there to enjoy, entertain, serve, and to make everybody happy. for the most part.
If my audience decided to come and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
A hilarious show. Dancing, singing, funny moments, physical comedy, everything. It's a combination of everything, and it's hilarious. And a little bit of a controversial stuff as well, just a little bit.
I thought, it was shocking at times, very, very controversial at times. But I think, again, at the times, it was built in the 70s. It was like the 70s, where, again, it brought in new ideas, like homosexuality, like, nudity, which you would never have seen back then.
Definitely.
So a bit revolutionary, which just kind of it just brought new meaning into theater for its time.
Mm-hmm. And I think, I've been thinking about that too, especially at this day and age. Seeing how much progress we've made since then, I think it's an eye-opening thing. Like back then, all those speeches, everything that is mentioned in the play, even though it's controversial, it was kind of the norm when you think about it. The sexist aspect of it was the norm, and it was just okay. And now you're seeing it like a play like this could have never written at this day and age. So I think it's a good indicator that we've come so far in 30, 40 years. And we're in a much better place, and I think it's just like bringing attention back to, all the issues we have right now, sexism, racism, all that stuff. And I think if you take it within its own context, it can be eye-opening as well about how much progress we had since then.
Well, I really enjoyed the performance. I enjoyed your performance also.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming out and watching it. And everybody should come and see it. It's funny.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI, 88.9 FM in Irvine. And I'm here with...
You're here with Bob Lesser. How are you? Saw the show tonight, I assume.
Yes, I did. Oh. Actually, I really enjoyed it, too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's, opening night. There's nothing like it. It's pay or play.
Great. And which character did you play?
I played Bieberman. I think Bieberman is an admirable fellow. That is, he reminds me of a social studies teacher that I had at junior high school in New York City, very much a New Yorker. He went to the YMHA on 92nd Street, as I did, and he was from my father's generation, and is a connoisseur of all the movies of the 40s and the values of the 40s. So when the sexual revolution just suddenly appeared, it hit him very hard. He didn't know how to absorb it. All of that shimmering and shivering and exposed flesh was a bit much for him to just keep his head, so to speak. But I think I managed to.
In 5 years, come and see this piece. What should they expect to see?
They will see a brilliant comic masterpiece written by Bruce J. Friedman, written in 1970, and it's just a treasure of life in New York, and it also has many different levels, not only intellectual but a spiritual level, because God, even though he's a really funny Puerto Rican kind of stand-up comic, he is a very, very deep person once you get to know him. But you'll have to stay all the way to the end to get that. So it's complicated and funny and a very special play. I'm so glad that it's come back, deservedly so. It doesn't deserve ever to be in mothballs, this play.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the piece. I thought it was actually a reflection of the times too, because it was written in the 70s. It was kind of like, it's not whether I'm ready to die, it's have I lived yet?
Yes, indeed. Have I lived yet? Right. I mean, there's always more. That idea that we're ready to die. I guess at some point when life kind of rolls through and goes its natural course, we have that idealized version of ready to die. But for many of us, it does come a little soon. We have to get ready. We have to make our peace, and here we do it. We compress that making the peace. I think each of us has about 3 or 4 minutes to come to terms with it.
Well, I really enjoyed the play. I really enjoyed your performance also. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Enjoy talking to you too.
Steam Bath will be playing at the Odyssey Theater from October 20th to December 16th. For more information, go to www.odysseytheater.com. This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at the David Henry Hwang Theater for the East-West Players presentation of Via Gone.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm at KUCI, 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with...
Kui Glenn. I wrote a play called Vit Gone.
I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was wonderful. It was humorous, it was adventurous, it was romantic, and it showed a side to the 70s and the Vietnam War that I'd never seen before.
Oh, thanks. That means a lot to me.
Question, why did you decide to write this piece?
It's kind of the reason why I decided to be a writer in the first place. I wanted to tell my parents' story, but in kind of the sound and voice of kind of contemporary pop culture, the way I more naturally write.
So do you think it was actually your voice or was your parents' voice? Because it seemed more like a modern voice. It seemed more like, a Vietnamese, the son of Vietnam, opposed to being a Vietnam native.
Oh yeah, I think it's definitely like my parents' story strung through me, because there's a part of me that wanted to tell that story for my kids, and just like bringing them home and stuff, and having my parents try to tell my kids stories. I know that there's that kind of language barrier between them, and I was like, I want to be able to tell that story for my kids to hear one day, because they're clearly too young to see this version of it right now. But for them to be able to see it and not have that kind of just language barrier in the way, so they can just see my parents as people, not as the grandparents that they have a hard time understanding sometimes,
If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
You see a romantic comedy that just happens to be set in a Vietnamese refugee camp set in 1975 that happens to have a lot of hip-hop and comedy and a kung fu fight maybe in there too. So, some surprises.
With Crazy Rich Asians coming out, I assume there'll be more pieces like yours coming out. This didn't seem like that. This wasn't the romantic comedy. This was more of down to earth. It was more of an immigrant situation. It was more, I wouldn't say depressing or gritty. It was actually very bright. You know what I mean? It's like you're going down to an area where they went through war, the violence, maybe crime too that you don't talk about, but there's just seemed to be some kind of happiness to it.
Yeah, like I think that we all seen the other narrative, right? We've seen the version of the Vietnam War story that is war-torn and painful, and it's like, well, when it comes to my parents' love story, that should be bright, because it was what made them get together and have a 40-year marriage and have me, So I think that was important to highlight that instead of the other thing, which I think you kind of already know, so.
Well, I really loved the piece. I thought it was entertaining, it was uplifting, and it was actually very family-friendly, too.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you once again for being on the show.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Jennifer Chang. I'm the director of Vietgone at East West Players.
So, question: Why did you want to do this piece?
Well, I love the play. I have seen many productions of this actually, and Snehal, the artistic director here, asked me. He called me up one day and said, "Jennifer, what are you doing in the fall? Do you want to direct Vietgone?" And I said, "Yes." And then he said, "I need you to have a fresh take on it." And that's when I said, "What? You want me to do a fresh take on Vietgone?" Okay. And went back and just really started from that last scene in the play and took all of the information and went backwards through the play, like to what the characters talk about at the end of the play. Just kind of worked our way that way. And then
it was interesting for me because again I saw sprinklings of things like a war story,
yes.
Sprinklings of an immigrant story, yes. Sprinklings of a love story.
Yes.
They were all blended together differently. It wasn't like a typical stereotypical play because this could have been very dark. It could have been very sappy. It could have been very musical, like some kind of musical comedy. But it wasn't. It blended it together very nicely in a different way. And I'm not sure how to put my finger on the style.
Yeah, actually, it's many styles, and in fact, the approach was that Clee was writing into all of these American art forms. I think, right, again, going back to that last scene in the play where they talk about being American, what it means to be American, and I kept just going through the Rolodex of what are all the quintessential American art forms: hip-hop, musical theaters, sitcom, romance, buddy comedies, war story, Spielberg. Spielberg is so quintessentially American. Father-son, Spielberg again. And so when I approached my designers and talked about how, what the approach of the show would be, I said, well, I think the father has really captured, his story. He wants to be seen as a hero. He conveys a story as himself as the hero of the center of the story, and then through the lens of his son's eyes, sees all of these characters through his own very American, having grown up in the 90s, hip-hop, etc., through that lens. So yes, we tried to use every American form that you could recognize. That was intentional. And also he writes to that, too.
Also, this is a play about Vietnam. You're Asian. This is East-West players. So, and even, so you might think you have to be an Asian to understand this. And even modern comedies like Fresh Off the Boat, they have jokes you'd have to be Asian to actually understand. This one, I don't think you had to be Asian. It was actually universal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think people can relate to, fathers and sons and falling in love and the trials and tribulations of finding your homeland, wherever that might be. So I think absolutely universal. And then I think, as far as how to approach it when you're doing it at the longest running theater of color in the United States and, a very recognizably Asian American theater company, we wanted to really be as authentic as possible. We spread a pretty wide net and found two Vietnamese men to play, the two best friends. So.
Also, love your choice in casting. What do you look for in your casting?
Talent, acting. I look for things that I think that I can't coach. Like, I think I'm pretty confident in my ability to coach someone into a performance, but there are certain aspects that I can't coach, like the understanding on a cellular level about what it means to be a Vietnamese American, or what it means for your family to have been refugee boat people. That I can't coach that. I can coach an empathy, but I can't coach that cellular understanding. And so that was definitely something that I was looking for in the casting.
Well, I love the performance. It was very fresh, a collage, you might say, maybe fusion, the way you have Asian fusion. So it was wonderfully done, very artistic, very theatrical, and I just loved the performance.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
Absolutely.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with...
Hi, I'm Sylvia Kwan. I love doing the show. It was an amazing experience, and what a great opening night.
Great, and which character did you play?
I played Tong. She's a bad bitch.
I love the way you played your character. In a sense, your character's not really, like Mulan, where she's, she's kind of like, she's actually very feminine, but she's actually very, kind of still girly. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yours was actually... I must admit there's probably some Vietnamese women out there like that, very realistic, very tough, very down to earth, and very flawed too.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I like the character so much. I think, like, as a woman, you can be anything. You don't have to be placed in a box. You can be feminine and tough. You can fight, you can love, you can care about people, and still be really, really tough. That's why I really like playing her.
Yeah, she had really bad luck with most of the men in her life. Kind of really beneath her.
No, I mean, I really think that, the Asian men in this play are wonderful. I like how everyone is super nuanced and, everyone has their own character. I really do think she met her match in this play, and I think she needs that.
If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
You should expect to see something really fun, something deeply moving, something that will resonate with Asian Americans across the board.
You mentioned it'll resonate with Asian Americans. Mm-hmm. I don't think you have to be Asian American to understand.
Right, I agree with you. I think it's wonderful to have stories with diversity. Obviously, I think people are ready for these stories with people of color. So it is a wonderful boon to our industry, but it is definitely a universal story about getting to know your parents, about how they fell in love, about their lives before they had children.
When I first heard about Crazy Rich Asians, obviously I had certain expectations. It would be a romantic comedy. It'd be pretty stereotypical, it'd be a lot of lavish scenes. But when they did it very well, and it had a different flavor to it. I'm not sure what it is. It's the same thing with this one. The flavor is just a little different. I'm not sure if it's a Vietnamese flavor, an Asian flavor. but I just thoroughly enjoyed it.
You know what I really love about Crazy Rich Asians? I love the emphasis on the relationship between the daughter and the mother, and I think that's actually also like what this play focuses on: the relationship between a daughter and her mother, and the relationship between a son and a father. And I really, really enjoyed that. Even though like there's aspects of a romantic comedy in there too.
Well, I really love the performance. I thought you were fantastic.
Thank you.
I love the tough woman you played. Really strong female character that you don't see in your typical Asian plays, I guess.
Yeah.
So once again, I really love your performance. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much. It was so nice to meet you.
Viet Gone will be playing at the David Henry Hwang Theater from October 18th to November 18th. For more information, go to www.eastwestplayers.org.